you're live, buddy. It's, I was gonna make that announcement. With everybody, understanding this, we, can you hear me now? Yeah. All right, we had to change a few things for the server, for the actually router and switches that we have in the clubhouse. So in order to get any Wi-Fi, it's gonna need a password. And it's clubhouse with a lowercase. That's the main Wi-Fi password. I couldn't get around it. It's a spectrum issue. The switch came with, you have to have a password. So if you want to get Wi-Fi in Clubhouse, you need to put the password for Clubhouse.
Okay, I'm gonna start with some announcements. Let's see. I'm gonna start with, of course, everybody knows that the truck now has the signs on the side of it. We still have the car to do. Yeah, I got the signs for that as well. Also, the next step we're gonna do is like Public Works is like trying to fix the flooding problem that's on Fiat, and then they're coming up here to start trimming trees, and also trimming trees down there on Brookridge Central for the decoration and stuff. And then after that, they'll be back up here, the cement dividers, like stopping blocks, I don't know what it's called, curves, for the spaces out front here.
Yeah.
And making the front road golf cart only. Tennis courts are done right. Okay, and the pickleball is gonna we was gonna do something to get them like new nets, is that correct?
Yeah.
Thinking about it, okay. And that's happening there, let's see, I can tell you an update on the back gate back there, school crossing gate. The way that thing works is now we're not able to get the county commissioner, but we got the school system would not do anything about it. So we talked to the crossing guard and the sheriff's department, because the crossing guard is he's a civilian, but he's tied to the sheriff's department. So we decided that we give him a key, so if he needs to unlock the gate or anything else like that, from like, say they let school out or anything like that, then he has a key to open the gate up. I went out there this morning at 9:30, and he was gone, but I called Craig out there to lock the gate on our side, and then it'll open back up this evening. So it will not be open all day. It's gonna be closed at 9:30, and I think it's gonna be open back up at 2:30 to 5:30. So that was the best way around that. I mean, you know, the county wouldn't do anything, the school system wouldn't do anything, so we decided to do it on our own like that. Just to tell you a little bit about what code enforcement does. I've got a sign, my sheet there's got 69 unregistered residents in here that actually have came in since the first of the year. Well, it's more than that, but I counted 69 times in here on the violations, and that is, where people have brought other people in here and live that have not had a background check, that refuse to get one, and most of the people have been fined $100 a day after 14 days. When I found out about they give them 14 days, I'm thinking, we need to do something different. So the next meeting you'll see on the agenda will be changing the rules and regulations. It shows in the rules and regulations if they're a habitual offender that the AVRC sets the fine according to the board, whether it be level 2, 3, or 4. We're gonna make it a set number 4. So, say like we make it a habitual offender, I think the way that works is like, if there's about, I want to say there's about 7 to 10 homes that constantly giving violations for something or another. Most times, unregistered person. So what happens is if they get a violation for, like, I want to use weeds in the gutter. I know it's a thing, but say if they get a violation for weeds in the gutter, they still got 14 days to fix it. But because they're labeled a habitual offender, they automatically get the $100 the very first day. But it's only one time thing of $100, because you can't do it more. I think the law says you can't do it more than once, but I'm gonna check more into that to see if it's going, so that way we at least we get something out of them or make them think about it, because most people I've learned by looking at this and talking to Vivian and talking to other ones in the office, when they have 14 days to fix the problem, they usually come in about 12 to 13 days, say the person's not living here no more, and then they got proof that maybe they're, you know, somebody signed a statement saying they're living in their house, like in Spring Hill or something, and they go and leave a couple of days or a week and then come back. So it starts right over again. So that's a problem there. Also, code enforcement does, I found 17 violations that were like, where they've not put in a project for like, fill out an application to the ACC committee to approve or not, like, say they put a shed in and things like that, and then, they found it later that they did not put one in, so they've been 17 structures, unapproved structures. That's what I found looking through here. That's not counting the other one. So they do go out and look at that. Let's see, talk about the gates. There's like 7 or 8 gates they check throughout here. that second shift checks, and so does third shift check. Then we talked about projects, like when people put in a ACC app, to go out and take pictures, they measure where certain things are at, usually it's Tim or Peter does that. So it is more than just riding around a car. Also, I'll give you a little fact something. Okay. I got the profit and loss statement for up till the end of last month. I'm gonna tell you what it's costing fuel so far this year. Fuel cost is only $4,864. That's both vehicles so far this year in code enforcement. So you might save a fraction of that, by eliminating driver, but that's not the issue. I don't think you can eliminate driver because you got too many things they have to do besides drive around. I'm gonna move this. I don't know if y'all see all my numbers or not, but the first one is the assessments. If everybody paid their assessment, you would collect $127,800 a month. And 12 months, that would be $1,533,600, but you only collect. We only collect for the whole year from our city standard, because of course my writing's not that great still. It's only $1,465,360. So you think about that, that's close to what, 80,000 difference, or no, 70,000 difference. So every year you're gonna start off 70,000 less than what you're actually in the budget. So there is a way that you have to dip into any excess from down through the years, because the highest number I've seen is the 1.465. And then last year, just to give you a comparison, last year's numbers just from January to October 20th was only 1.27 million. So they have to collect almost 200 and basically 50,000 more, and you're not going to get it. So that could be part of that's dipping into the cushion, so to speak, is what's come out. So yeah, the association is in the black because there's still money left over, but you're in the red for the whole year. The other numbers I found out from looking at this is when you look at their P&L statement last year, they only collected 1.28 million worth of assessments. They only collected $30,000 in fines. And then a big number that stands out was the sale of lots. Well, of course, that was 97,000, but part of that money had to go back to, because it goes to, like, offices got their house back, or that, and then some of the other was supposed to go into reserves. Of course, it didn't pay reserves. So the bottom line here is the total income for just these months are only, like for the year, last year up until the end of October, was 1.58 million. That's the assessment, so a lot, have $6,700 for the bingo, and the some of those numbers are not some of those numbers are not, they might be true, but some of the numbers of this take-in amount is already spent on something else, like, we don't get the full amount. It says screens for background checks, say $33,750 is income. We only get a fraction of that, because it costs so much to do the backgrounds. So that's where some of that money goes. The attorney fees would be another thing, that we don't get that money, the attorneys get most of that money, and that's where that is. So, so just so you know that when we talk about the budget part, when you don't collect all the assessments, or people don't pay them, you're stuck with that being a loss. So that could be part of the like when we talked about them being short last year of $160,000, well, right there's 80 of it right there, because you don't collect all the assessment you're supposed to collect. I'll give you some more numbers here. All right, I was wrong a while ago. I was looking at the wrong page. But comparing us to this year, we've collected so far $1,327,908, which puts about $50,000 more than what they collected. We have not sold any lots. We don't have bingo on here, but where we made up is that, like, their gross profit last year, just to tell you the difference is that their gross profit was 1.50, $1,580,450, and ours, without selling a lot, is $1,572,441.70. So it ain't the $9,000 difference. But our goal is not to dip into any of the reserve money. Like, say, if it was like, I'm not reserve money. When they last year started off with 400 and about $60,000 in cash, then at the end of the year ended up with 327, but yet they have not paid the assessment, the reserves for September. Plus there was 50,000 that was owed in bills for December and November that would have to come out of that money. So we've not collected that, but just so you know what the reserves for last year, it shows that it was only, well, this is through this month, it says 351,120, but our paper shows that we paid $491,090. Our wages are lower. That's the next column is the wages. For the same time period, January 1st through October 31st, their wages was $575,976. Ours is $565,761. So ours is 10,000 less. But when you look over at the back page, which will be it's got the net income and all that on it, it shows our income is $76,000. $76,933, which is net income, and theirs shows $127,753. But you gotta remember, there's gotta be things taken off, like sell the lots. They had to put more in reserves, so the actual number would be way less than that. So that's where the comparison is. I think the wages really threw me. I looked at them, we looked at those, and like, how do you pay out so much? Because I'm thinking they only had a couple months out, they were short 3 people. Well, those months, they only really saved $6,000. It was about $6,000, $3,000 a month was all that got saved for those 2 months. And you gotta remember, they paid out the employees back in December, right? And, everything, so really what looks like it is, they didn't have as much income to pay all the expenses because people didn't pay their assessments and their fines were late, the fines are only $30,900 on here. Well, our fines are already $61,675. So we did twice the amount in fines. Of course, also the use and abuses on there we made, it says, $29,000 so far for that, where they don't have it on there. So those are big differences. I keep looking at these numbers almost every day because I'm wanting to find out how much of that cushion we're gonna have to use. Because I'm sure there's gonna have to be some use because the minimum wage went up. The bingo's not on here for us. It shows zeros across there. The only way I know that we can combat this is whatever we make up in, use and abuse money, whatever we get from Friday night bingo. We know we let one person quit that was in the, public works that we did not replace and we're not going to replace. And that was how we was gonna try to make up the difference, but I don't know if we can make up all of it or not, so we may have to dip into some of that money. I'm thinking it was, we probably after everything's minused off and like the reserves we paid, the bingo not being in here, the 50,000 that was on that sheet that had to be November and December bills. I'm thinking this thing's gonna be somewhere right around $200,000 is what we're gonna have, like floating wise and things like the floating money. I don't like seeing that, but I'd like to see more than that. And that's why I hope the budget passed, but we're preparing for it not to pass. And one of the ideas floated around, some people not gonna like it, was like, one of the ideas was Brookridge Entertainment and the show part. If we're bringing people in from the outside of these shows, that maybe we ought to start charging rent for the shows. That's what we talked about, right? That day, there's a possibility, to see, we're going to have to float all kinds of ideas and see what's the best idea. Basically, that's all I have as far as comparison goes. Let's see, don't really want to harp too much on not really trying to harp too much on last year. I just want to try to give a comparison of what, I know they had tough times they went through and that kind of thing because of COVID and everything. Of course, we've got to face that this year too as well. But, they didn't cut no wages because they had to close the clubhouse some. They still paid the employees as well because the payroll, just for example, is, I'm just going to share this. I'm not going to give what people make and stuff like that, but just show that as you'll notice in this, when I call this out, like January, they paid out, of course, this didn't have to do with the last board, but January was $55,000 was payroll for the whole place. February was $57,000. March was $56,000. April was $57,000. May was $85,000. Of course, that had 3 pay periods in it. And then June was $57,000. July was $53,000. August, of course, was 47,000, so they did see the average, somewhere between 55 and 57. They only, well, I take it back, they probably saved about $10,000 that way. Then September was 47,000, and then it went back up in October, went to 83,000. November went to 59,000. December went to 57,000. So just in 2 months right there. So, let's see, when you look back on this, that some other numbers that are lower, we're not spending as much as, for building maintenance, and, cause you don't have to worry about, like, because you did so much work on the clubhouse last year, the floor and the wainscoting and all that, and then you painted a lot too, so the building maintenance was like, for last year was 20,633, and for us, it's only, $193. So that's $20,000 difference right there. It's only $193.93. No, wait a minute, I'm looking at the wrong one. It's $8,579. That's what it is. So yes, quite a bit difference. So that's where we save money at. Try our best not to use that, any kind of cushion. I think we got some other numbers that are down right much from last year. Trying to cut any way we can. There was a couple mistakes made. They ordered two things, barcodes, and one of them was supposed to be 5,000 of it, which would be one box, had the wrong numbers in it. And that was the printing error by the people that makes the barcodes. But you can tell wages are down right much because the wages for administrative is only 115,000 right now. That's what it is so far for the year. And last year was 140,905. And up here, wages last year was 130,340. And then this year is only 125. So that's 5,000 less and 15,000 less on the administrative wages. And then for public works, it's about, let's see, it's 77 last year, and then 75,000 this year. Then code enforcement is up because of course, it's up because you got more people, plus you got more people on minimum wage in there. But you got other things that are down like vehicle maintenance. Vehicle maintenance was almost $10,000 last year. This year is vehicle maintenance. This year was about $10,000 so far till we bought a Toyota truck. The fuel cost last year was a little bit less than this year because I guess fuel going up. So anybody got any? That's all the time I'm gonna spend on this. Just to go over what we've tried to do already this year is we basically reestablished the RV compound. We put the advisory committee together, which is going to give us a report along with the county in about the 18th on what we can do with speeding, or if they got any suggestions, and what to do, updating the signage in here and that kind of thing, and that was free, of course. And everything. I'm asking about this piece of paper, this other thing that I got, having to do with the fire trucks and things like that. Let's see, the health committee has been made, we established the health committee this year. That was made up of 3 residents. And, they had one physical therapy, and the other 2 was retired RNs. We placed 3 residents on the AVRC committee. That to me, that committee right there is basically it's almost like a rubber stamp to make sure we don't find somebody the wrong amount. I think the best committee anybody can possibly be on is the next one coming up, and that's the Rules and Regulations Committee. Because that's the one that's going to decide, put input in whether we do away with some of the rules and probably what some of the fines are gonna be, and things like that. Okay, then we repaired the floor in the guard shack. The guards are handing out the visitor slips that have been laminated so they can clean them. That we're using new time clocks, to better reflect the hours, because I think everybody's paid probably what they probably get an hour or 2 more in the pay, right? Because I don't staying closer to 15 minutes later. That way, it keeps better track of it. We purchased new computers and we updated software. We still got to find something that will work with the gates out there. They're still having problems with the gate. And I asked about why the outbound does not work sometimes, and it's because the sun shines on either my tag or, I guess it reflects to the infrared too. So it don't raise, because I've been doing it a couple of times during the last week and a half. Somebody made a comment that, well, my privilege has been suspended, but I know they're not. So I did ask about it. Let's see, what else? How much has a vending machine made so far this year? Do you know? How much money has a vending machine made?
500, 600?
Well, it's getting quite, I mean, it'll eventually get there where it'll start making more money than what because it was paid for by donations anyway. Let's see. We have started enforcing no SUV and truck zone out in front of here. We added more handicap parking down there. What were they doing with that tree? They were doing, golf course doing something else. What was that?
They're fixing their underground plumbing.
Okay. Let's see, we took over Modernize and News and Views, which I'm really happy about. We get all advertising money, which is good. It costs us about $6,000 a month to print, but as I've said a while ago, it's been like, we collect almost $10,000, so we get about between $2,000 and $4,000 in off the advertising, so that's good. Let's see, we repaired the parking lot where trees taken down. We've hired a CPA to do the quarter reports, and her name is Pat Jones. The administrative office takes care of the new resident packets. We usually set an appointment up with them. Usually they do it the same day, so it's kind of hard to know. I got to work on that, see if we can get them to call the unit reps. I think they've been pointing them out who the unit rep is for where they live. If you're in Unit 2, they point out the person's who they look like and their name and stuff is by they take them down that hallway at the office. But it's usually they set up the appointment because they do the new hire packets when they come get their barcodes for the cars. Let's see. Had center line painted on Country Club. Of course, we purchased the new ballot box, which everybody likes it. The only keys are held by a couple of people, and that's Mary Swing and Paul Campbell. Of course, we got signs on the truck, and then we're getting a free inspection of all street signs and street markings, and getting a report on that 18th. And then the projects we're working on is making more golf cart in the club, at the clubhouse, that front row. We are working with rules and regulations, putting that committee together. And then we're looking at a new program to replace access gate. And we need to replace the gates because all the parks are like, hold on, like, you can't get them no more. So I was asking if that was part of my problem, why I couldn't get out. So that's what we've done so far. Of course, a lot of these things I thought could be done like snap fingers, but it doesn't really work that way. You learn that as you be here. So I'll take questions on anything now. Anybody got a question? Yeah. I think the microphone's over there, is it not?
Sandy Combs, Unit 2. You brought up unit reps. I was in Unit 4, and I had like each month like 3 new people. I've never been called to the office to go through that, meet the people stuff. Now I got switched to Unit 2. I have 1 paper, so the people have been here for months. Haven't got a phone call to go to the office, so how are they going about that?
Okay, I'm gonna check her on that, because I know she did one yesterday. So,
And what unit was that?
I don't know, that's why I got to check with her. I was not there till, I just heard about it, that lady on the phone set it up. She was wanting to get her barcode and wanted to be there, and Vivian told her to be there at 2:30 to do the new resident pack and get her barcode.
So am I correct in when they do the new resident pack, the unit rep is supposed to be there for the new residents to meet
Well,
the
they
unit rep?
should be, yeah, they should be there. I know they point out of from Unit 6, these are the unit reps, I saw them.
So they point out on the wall, we're not meeting the people, is that how we're doing this? We're getting pointed out on the wall, or are we meeting these people?
No, you should be meeting people, so I'm gonna get her to straighten that out, so she can call you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the side of here? Okay.
The 69 unregistered tenants. What's gonna happen on that?
Well, just tell you an example here is that I copied them down here. I'll go back to this page right here, which is in August. It's one of the ones I got the most on. Well, it says, when I go up here to the top, it's got 11 on this page, and this page was dated August 9th to the 30th. And it says, new owner, no background screening on file. Says new owner, Brooke, I don't know the last name, can't pronounce it. No background screening on file for Richard. This is a different address. No screening on file for Shiva. Can't pronounce the last name. Another one, Vanessa Hartman. I can read that one, and Deborah Youst. And then there's an unregistered male living at another address on Brookridge Boulevard. And then there's another one living on Scepter. And then there's another one living on another address on Scepter. And then there's a person that's unregistered with children that lives on Medina Avenue. The only thing we can do is if they don't live there, if they live there and say live with somebody that's a registered owner, the only thing we can do is find the registered owner, like find them. So if the way it's been being done is like 14 days to get the person out, and then you get fined, we decided that a lot of these places have shown up more than once. I think it's 3 times in 1 year, like on other violations and things like that, to where if you classify them as a habitual offender, that they would get fined the first day, like any kind of violation, instead of waiting the 14 days. So maybe if you hit them right away in the pocketbook, because really that's about, the only thing you do is hit them in the pocketbook, and hopefully it goes to up to $1,000, and you can do the foreclosure and all that. I got one property that I'm worried about. It's over on Salisbury. They have a history of, I bet I can go back there. They have a history of doing that. And I will say the lady has people like kids and relatives that come over and they don't never leave, and someone's been in major trouble. And so you get her to like get them out, you start finding her. And I said, well, we need to find a right way. What can we do different? So we're going to declare it. He declared that person, that resident, habitual offender. Sounds like we can handle it.
After 90 days, are they not a trespasser and the sheriff could escort them out?
Well, the thing about it is what's happening is they'll, at a certain point, they will say, well, the person's not living there, and they'll bring us either a document that says they're on, like it'll be fictitious, probably fictitious, where they signed a lease somewhere, like we've got a friend to draw up a lease and they sign it, so it shows that they're actually living in Spring Hill according to the lease, but they're still there. Well, then the violation gets closed out and you don't see them for about a week, and they come back. They're not staying the full 90 days or to be charged with trespassing, because they're not really trespassing, because most of these people are like relatives of who own the house.
Maybe when your rules and regulation meets, they could see if the rule could be changed to 90 days per year.
Well,
That
we
would
have to-
stop
we have
them
to
from
look at
coming in
all-
and out.
We found through looking through the rules and regulations this week that a lot of the rules and regulations have to be updated to this year. A lot of them is just unenforceable and are not worded right and everything else. So that's one thing we have to look at in there.
Thank you.
Anybody else got a question? Yeah, right there.
How many candidates do we have running for the board?
5 right now. Five's all we've seen is 5 resumes, so yeah.
And what's gonna happen if this, if this doesn't pass for their extra money? The budget,
Well, we've got a lot of scenarios with that. Probably the worst case would be, that I've told people, the worst case would be like closing the clubhouse 1 day a week, cut back stagger hours at the guard shack. Let's see, probably close the administrative office like 1 day, probably either only work 12 that day. And let's see, I'm not gonna do anything with public works, because we done told them that the way that we're not hiring a third person. So having 2 people there and do a lot more than they did before. So that's kind of the worst case scenario. And then they, I think I figured it out that quite possibly we can save almost $70,000 to $90,000, but it'd be the worst possible case. So,
Thank you, Jerry. And first of all, I appreciate these town hall meetings. They're a lot more informal. I get a lot more out of them. And on a very personal note, thank you very much. A couple things that I want to mention, they have to do with personnel. And I know that's a hot topic, and with the minimum wage going up, you know, it kind of puts you in the hot seat.
Yeah.
I have a strong opinion, and I'm gonna get to Public Works eventually, but I have a strong opinion that if you start working people less, you have a good chance of losing people. And decades ago, because I've been in maintenance my whole life, and our production was down, 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 down. And the plant manager says, well, we're gonna cut your, you know, our operations isn't working as much, we're gonna cut your maintenance back to 4 days a week. Please don't do that. Don't give a good mechanic a day off to go put in applications someplace else. Several did, including moi. Because I signed up to work here. I expect so much money to run my household.
Right.
And thanks for the day off. I'm out putting in applications. So that's a thing. And kind of along that same line, you mentioned, and I understand this, I understand the administrative side of it, and I don't envy your position. You can't let somebody quit. Somebody in Public Works quit, you decided not to fill the position. And that on paper is a savings, or is it? As a resident, first thing I'm thinking of, and I'm not done, so as a resident, I'm thinking, if we don't need that person now, did we need them before they quit? And you're not alone, because I work for the government and I picked on them up one side and down that. You haven't filled this position for how long? Did we need them? And it kind of makes you wonder. Or are our services going to suffer? And that's the whole thing. And I've been happy with the services of Public Works. A lot of people might not fully appreciate what they do. And as soon as the new year comes in, I'm going to get on the bandwagon. I think they need that new mower. But if that's off the paperwork, then it is. You know, another thing that keeps coming up is, oh, I'm not done with Public Works. If you didn't need that person, or maybe you did need them, and the paperwork looks good, let's try this for a while. You're going to have the people that are left, you're going to expect more out of them to continue the level of service, and they're going to get burned out, and they're going to ask for a day off so they can go and put in applications elsewhere. So it's again, I don't envy your position. And I was going to come up and molest your flip chart there, and I decided maybe I'll stay here. But I'm thinking if you could flip those numbers upside down, and what is assessment is what you need, and you don't collect enough because of the people that are, I'm just going to say delinquent, they don't pay. So if you increase the assessment part to get to where you need to be, minus the delinquents, so that you end up where you need to be.
That's right.
And here's, you know, people are probably going, are you nuts? You know, they're upset over what, $3 a month. By the way, it's been mentioned, just raise it to 50 and get it over with.
That's right.
And I looked at that and it's like, you know, I'm not rich either. Frankly, I'm Bill, Unit 4. Sorry, I missed that part. But it would make the math a lot easier. People are going to be angry over a 50-cent increase. They're going to be angry no matter what. And yeah, that's your surprise look. I know. One last thing, and then I'll sit down, and I might shut up, but at least I'll sit down. The ballot box, and I'm not the social butterfly that, okay, maybe I am. And people are complaining about that ballot box. I've been here long enough to understand, no, I don't, to know what I heard last election, last year, the concern over the ballot box. And somebody said, well, all you need is a new padlock. Really, if that was the case, I should have brought a padlock with me. That is not it. That is not it. I think you're on the right track there, Jerry, because the former ballot box, whatever it looks like, is tainted. It's dirty, can't be trusted. Whatever it is, there's a hole in the bottom, and the ballots drop out through the hole, and the elves count them, and then they make up their own, and then they put it back. I don't know. I mean, you can. I'm just saying, but it's tainted is my point. And the new ballot box, frankly, if that's within your power to do that, do that. because you've got enough grief coming your way. That's one less thing, and that's whining in the background. So, again, thank you for your work and your effort. Don't envy your position. Thank you again.
Thank you. I will say one thing before we get to the next person with a question is, probably the reason that, yeah, you're right, I should have put that up there with that, but just think about it. It's been done like that for years, that if you only collect them 1.46 million, 465, then because you got people that have foreclosures and things like that, and you know you're never gonna collect, you're not collecting at least the 1.5, then you know you're going into that short and there's no carryover from year to year because you're using it. Yeah, I see that number should be, like, for a great example, be like when the budgets are put together, which was what I should have called earlier, would have been, instead of putting that number in there so high that you hope that the numbers for the fines, the liens, let's see, what else? Let me look at a budget real quick. Because you got what's gonna be administrative and all that, and then you got other income, and then you got what goes in reserves on the budget. And, like, say, okay, this says landscaping income, 21,000, collections, fines income, 77, administrative income, which is the faxes, the other stuff, will be 96,000. This says projected carryover funds, 24,000. This $220,000 is a total. Well, that income's not promised yet. So if those numbers are lower than, or closer to what you're expected to get, or a little less, then you can make up the difference that you're not gonna collect an assessment. And that probably that's probably should have been looked at. Can't blame nobody. That's basically the way it's been done for years. And I would like to see myself, like, if we had, I gotta get the sheet together and see if a great example would be, Larry sitting over right now, I know, but when, I'd like to see a sheet that had, like, we know the ending number last year was 327 minus 50,000. And we knew the beginning number last year was 400, about 60,000. Like we talked about earlier, that I'd like to see the beginning number for 2019, 2018, 2017, and so on, to see if it was, say if it started $1 million cushion, and every time that we've not passed assessments, how much have we dug into that cushion? And just see if it's been going, because what worried me the most was that because they kept the same, which I understand, that's fine, that they paid the same wages, paid all the wages out like when nobody lost their job. They didn't cut nowhere or anything. Well, what little bit we tried to do, how much of that cushion are we going to dip into, because we're not collecting all the assessments? I'll expect us to collect probably 1.465 myself. So we're not gonna collect the whole 1.533 million. So that's my concern too as well, because I was hoping that when it showed up, when I saw where the sheet said short for last year, I was hoping that maybe it was bad debt, depreciation, and this kind of thing. But when you look at the assessment collected were only like 100,000 less than the 1.465, and it was down in the 1.3. It was like, whoa. So that makes you wanna think. So if you don't have the income coming in, you're gonna use that cushion. So that worries me more than anything. And it's not going, you wish things would be simpler and you could take money out of reserves and you wouldn't have to worry about it, but you can't do that, so, you gotta either raise them or you hope you've got enough cushion to make it. So we'll go with the next person that's got a question. I appreciate that a while ago, thank you.
Hi, Joe Noel, Unit 4, been here since 1994, so well over a quarter of a century old. I got a question for you, Jerry. The 127,800 is the number of lots times the assessment, is that correct?
Yes, that's the 2,840 lots times the dollar amount, which is 45, and that gives me the 127, which would be for 1 month. And then 127 times 12 would give me the 153,
Okay.
1.53, yeah.
By the way, I agree with, basically with most of the stuff that Bill said, in logic. One of the things when I was on the board back in 2000, what we did is we looked over the last 5 years of income from assessments. And that's what we built our budget on.
Yeah.
In other words, and that's, I think, what you're trying to allude to now, is it
Yeah.
not?
Yeah,
You look at reality of what comes in, you write off the 80,000 not in the main budget, you just don't count them in that number, so now you'd be looking at 1.4 something every year, and you let that vary with the average of the last 5. And by doing that, then you take all the money that you collect from other things to make up the difference.
what's,
Okay, so I think you guys are on the right track there. And if you do that, and you put everything in there, if you have a condition like covert 22 or whatever it comes up to be, you don't have to worry about not getting any money from bingo, because you haven't put it in your forecast. And I think you guys are actually going in the right direction at this stage of the game. And you just set the budget for reality, and if you come up with a surplus, that'll be nice.
yeah, just to go over what's been collected, you can see right here, I got the sheet since 2011, and of course, it's not been 45 all those years, but just say 1 year it was like 1.1 million, well, let's see, it was 1,294,000, then 12, it was 1,328,000, then 13, it was 1,362,000, then 14 was 1,361,000, then 15 was 1,395,000, 16 was almost the same amount, was 1,395,000, then 17 was 1,395,000, then when it went up to 45, 18 was 1,465,000. Then 19 was 1,465,000 as well. And then last year, of course, it was 1,327,000. So you can tell the difference there. Okay. So, yeah, should have looked at the average and cause that tells you that's a $70,000 difference. So I know we've not made $70,000 up. So we're looking at probably, like I said, somewhere around the $200,000 cushion, probably what's going to end up being with time to take off, the difference in that, plus bingo and plus what the paying the reserves for last September will come out of this money in June. And then, so yeah, it'll be somewhere around a $200,000 mark.
So if you made a budget of $1,250,600 on your thing, and you made it so you could pay all your bills on that, and everything else would make your life a little bit easier to do.
That's right. That's right. What I looked at this, when we looked at this back in, I'm gonna say we, 'cause me and Ken Dunn looked at this thing back in back in November. I think it was November 18th, actually, the night of the election. The budget vote. We knew it was gonna be, my figure said it was gonna be $120,000 short for this year. And I think he was talking about it gonna be about 160, right? And,
Speaking of that, you owe me a quarter.
oh, really? Okay. Okay. So that's where we kinda come up with this thing, is like, if when these budgets are put together, if they would never, say, for example, when the thing started was, if they would have been like a separate fund or something for like the other income, which is, the fines, all that stuff, and not relying so much on that money. If you don't get it, you don't get it. If you do get it, that's great, that's great. Then you're right, that would be a major thing there. To where it be just exactly what it says up there at the top, the subtotal operation.
Can you now turn around if you had a budget, a money surplus at the end of the year? Can you take that money and put it into the reserve fund, per se? So let's say you planned $1,250,000, came up with $1,350,000. Would you put the extra $100,000 into the reserve fund for next year or something like that versus, if you found out after all the numbers were done, that you're positive, negative versus sitting there having to go into the hoops that you do now?
Jerry, if I might be able to help, and you might know more about this than me. I suppose the technical answer might be yes. I believe you can put money anytime you want into the reserve fund. And Jerry mentioned this several times, getting it back out might be it. That's where you're gonna step in.
Can't you put if you put this amount of dollars in for a undefined fund that allows you to pull it out?
I think
As
what you
a
want,
separate category.
I think the term that you want to use is encumber it over to the next year.
Or even in this year, if you're, if you.
It has to be you have to allocate it to something.
Yeah, I'm saying, have a budget line in there allocated for. the
Every-
work that
every-
you do with it.
Every reserve dollar that's in our reserve fund is allocated to every piece of equipment down to the penny.
Yeah, but
So,
that's based on category,
You
correct?
you don't have a line item out there that says nothing and you have $1 million in it. It's gotta have, you have to associate that fund or that extra money, say, towards the clubhouse element, towards public works, towards security. It's gotta go somewhere.
You can't put it in for the emergency fund.
There is no emergency fund. There is no emergency fund.
Okay, we used to have that. That's-
The emergency fund is your operating
All
fund.
those dollars are emergency funds.
Well, yeah,
But
but it's gotta be allocated to something.
Okay. Is that something we can change, so? we can
That's
just
Florida
knock
statute.
it back?
Florida law. You can have a slush fund if you want, right?
how about at the front gate, a statue of Jerry, and we just slowly. build
Let me,
that.
let me ask Larry a question. When the account was open like at, I'm gonna say Bank of America, was you still president then?
There were a lot of accounts open, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, what we seen still been there. Of course, all the money that's in reserves has been put in a CD. Well, there was two accounts that were not put into a reserve. They were not put into the operating budget, because the operating budget is through Berean Bank. The Bank of America has, or did, I think it still does, have $50,000 in it. And then there was another bank that had like $30,000 in it. And they were used for operating, so it could probably, I don't know, may possibly go into that. Because I remember the Bank of America, when we went back and did the research on it, at one time, the Bank of America account was used primarily for operating. Because it shows in the QuickBooks that it was. But now it's sitting there with like $50,000 in it. And I think the other one has 30,000 in it. So that's something that has to be looked at. I would say that me personally, I think it should be another account set up for any of the excess, so you know exactly
Yeah.
what's happening to it, so.
No, because we write the rules in the association, so we should do whatever we can want, as long as we identify it, so the state doesn't jump on it.
and
Well,
then-
you had like the capital contribution fund that they wanted to do earlier. That's something that you can do with your extra money.
Yeah, but I mean, what it is, you need to, so at the end of the year, if he picks up an extra $30,000,
You just put the money in for capital improvement,
yeah, I mean, you can use it that year.
right? I mean, as long as it's designated to go to somewhere, that you can do it.
He doesn't need it, he rolls it into the,
The problem with that being is once you start a rollover account, which is what you're discussing, it becomes taxable income. We need to talk to a CPA before we pursue down this avenue.
okay.
Yeah, because also we gotta remember that when the auditor was here last week, on the 26th, remember he said we should have like about 3.5 months worth
So
of,
almost 3 to 4 months of our operating costs should be in the bank at the end of the year.
That's right.
And, it holds true, because you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know if 100 people aren't gonna pay their dues in January, in December.
True.
Okay, right? I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, you need December in there in November.
Right, yeah, you need, almost need to come up, balance it, and on 1 December,
That's right. And I can see
or
why-
know exactly what's going on.
I can see why you guys are going crazy, because you're always behind the 8 ball. You got no way to win.
well, just an example right here, I can go through this, what comes out. A $36,000 check got wrote to Citizens Bank, Citizens Insurance. Had to be November and December's bill because it was paid on the 7th.
Mhm.
And that was 36,000. So you definitely have to have money in there, and then there's, let's see, card services, you paid that in December, and that was $5,000. And let's see, what else I got here?
Property taxes should be on there for December too.
That's right.
Cause I've got the bills by vendor from July 2020 till March 21.
Well, you wanna pay that right away, wouldn't you? So they save a few bucks, so
Yeah.
you pay that in November, right? Before,
Okay, the next thing is like, well, let's see, you got property taxes paid in,
November.
November, and that's almost $5,000. And then, there's another insurance policy, it's $7,000. That's the big ones there, and then, let's see, let me look at the utilities right quick, see if it's a big one, let's see. And usually the electric bill's it's $10,000, so it didn't change much from, basically stays the same, it's about $10,000 a month. The street lights are $6,700, then clubhouse is $2,559, and then the rest of them combined are about $1,000, so you're looking at about, $9,000 for utilities. So even with the Christmas lights going on, it didn't change it all. I think it's probably got a set amount they pay each time. Because, let's say the month of July was $67.49, August was $68.57, September was $67.55, October $67.58, so didn't change any. And then say December, it would be probably come into, probably in January, so it'd probably be, that's at 67.47, so it didn't change much. You're not gonna save much on electricity anyway. Because the only one that changed a little bit was probably the clubhouse, and it went from 27 to 2,900. So when we talk about looking at expenses, like I've talked with Vince about cutting things back, is really everything's been cut. So the only thing that's left, like we talked about earlier, is I know people, I understand people giving them opportunity to like give them a day off to put in an application, but where else can you cut? Because I don't know where we can do it. I mean, where else can you save 100,000 if you don't buy it? I mean, it's just not there. So, yeah,
You put coin-operated, dispensers on the toilet paper in the bathrooms. I didn't give you that idea yet, did I?
That's fine. That's fine, you know, I will say one thing, just to make people laugh. I owned a restaurant back in 1999 and 2000. I went in with a guy and owned a restaurant, little country kitchen thing, and it was in the mountains of North Carolina. I said, I'll go in with you 50% on it. So I went in with him. I walked in there 2 weeks after it opened, and I saw poker machines that he had set up in one time. Paying off poker machines, I thought, are you kidding? But he thought that was the way to raise money.
All right, well, we have a suggestion on how we can save some water.
All right.
Stop letting the residents take a shower up here and wash their clothes in the shower. That's a known fact. So that would save money because we're paying water bill and sewer.
Okay.
And I know I'm gonna have a nice night tonight, huh?
So, since you're in trouble, you're done already. Just run with it.
Jerry,
Yeah.
I'm going to reiterate what I said a couple of weeks ago, and I just think, again, we all need to come together as a community and get this budget passed, because if we don't do it this year, we're going to have the same problem next year. It has nothing to do with politics, it has to do with the minimum wage. And these people still aren't making $15 an hour. So I think everybody's under the assumption that it went up and they're going to pay the 15. They're still not making 15. Again, I'm going to plead with people of our community to do the right thing and pass the budget and make our lives as good as they can be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's surprising that I'm kind of shocked that over 1,000 people's already voted for the budget.
We can also put something in perspective too. When this law passed back last year, November, gas was approaching $1.90 a gallon. Now it's approaching $3.20, $3.30 a gallon, and it only went up $1. And everything else in the stores are going up and up and up. And the cost of living, the increase that these people got doesn't even equate to the cost of living that it's going to.
So unless anybody else got a question, I don't have anything else. Try to give you all an update on everything going on and what we did through the whole entire year so far. The only thing I see in the future that's probably was not on that page is like another way to save money for next year, even though we can take it out of the reserves, would be getting rid of the other car and code enforcement and buying something. The reason I've learned here lately that any of the American-made cars, like Ford, Chevrolet, I guess Chrysler products are that way, they can't get the chip. So that makes them more expensive, plus it makes them harder to get. So I would say probably next vehicle probably needs to be either a Toyota or a Nissan. I think it needs to be a car, something that's really good on gas. I think probably the next thing around should be that.
Got a brand new Nissan dealership opening up down the street, so.
And, everything. So what,
I know the guy, you do.
where I see you save money as far as that goes is you got,
Play golf a couple times.
where I see you save money in that is because it's still under warranty, that you won't have to pay all that maintenance, so that is some kind of savings. Plus, it has a lifetime warranty, you think that it can, I'd keep it as long as I could to use that warranty as much as possible. So, that's all I have on it. Let's see, probably the only thing I think being spent next year, probably have to look at, we know Billy's gonna get the tractor for Public Works. That's already been voted on, allocated money for. The other big one in code enforcement, and also fixing that crack that's in the pool out there, in the pool house. Is that, I don't think anything else
Next summer.
has to be fixed. I don't believe in band-aiding stuff together, so I think that's about it out there. Everything else in really good shape.
Yeah, what's coming up, we're gonna have another shot clinic December 8th. That'll encompass everything, shingles, flu, COVID booster, COVID first shot, whatever you think of. That'll happen, December 8th. The next big thing coming up is our time change, okay, which is Sunday, okay? So, with that said, pool opens at 9 and closes at 8, okay? Let's say there's just 2 hours, worth of monitoring out there. Also, November 16th is the drop dead date of starting the roof. Everything's on the roof that we need to start the project. We just need labor. All right, so that was delivered last Thursday. So it's been gone over, checked over, photographed, documented what's on the roof. And so once they start, Mr. Long, our consultant, will be up on the roof going through it, make sure that they're doing everything right, and he'll be reporting each week on how things are going that way. So we don't have to climb a ladder, get on the roof, and fall off and break our back. So put it up to the younger guys to get up there and do that. I might be young, but I'm not really like ladders too much. So with that said, turn it back over to Jared.
I think we have no more questions. I think we'll just end that right here. Like I said, I can't think of anything else that's gonna be pressing next year that's gonna be, mostly we're gonna concentrate on rules and regulations, and the SOPs will be primarily what'll happen next year, and make sure certain things we're voting on will be, they have to go before the community. We're gonna try to get them on the ballot for the members of the board election. Because I know one that we wanna get on there is it's in deed restrictions, and it has to do with grill covers. Because now everybody's got a grill with a, gas grill with pull down, so it doesn't need a grill cover, because that's a grill cover right there. That's one of them right there, so that's one of the things on there. And like I said, the other one, the one we're gonna do at the next board meeting is make an habitual offender. That's what we're gonna do next thing, where we're gonna change that from a 2, 3, and 4 to 4. So we try to do something with these people that bring people in like I spoke on. We got about 6 houses that they blatantly bring people in, I guess, or either renting rooms, or, we got people living in a shed in a carport, crazy stuff like that. So, yeah. So, thank y'all for coming to the town meeting today. I'll give y'all an update on stuff soon as I find it. I'll probably have one, won't have one next week because we've got Veterans Day next week, on Thursday. And then next week is we have the budget vote, be on that Wednesday night meeting, right? I have one on that Thursday because I want to give y'all an update of what the county tells us on Tuesday, the 16th. They're coming out here, so. Yeah, the veterans celebration starts at 9 o'clock next Thursday. There's gonna be outside ceremony and inside ceremony. It starts on the outside and continues on the inside. And at 11 o'clock, well, Pam Vince will be cooking stuff. And it'll be like, start at 11 to eat. It'll be free food. So there won't be a food truck, right? And, so it'll be a good day. And, everything. So thank y'all for coming out today. And if y'all got any questions, about things, just let me know. Try not to expect everything done right then, because it ain't like snap fingers. I'll do my best to get it done as quick as possible.
Well, thanks, appreciate
So,
it.
thank you.